1.4. Rounding numbers, estimating answers, and displaying information. The steps used in rounding numbers are given below. There are three main rules that we're going to use. The first rule is locate the digit to the right of the place value you need to round to. Locate the digit to the right of the place value you want to round to. Has to be the one on the right. If it's 4 and less, this is rule 2. If it's 4 and less, you're going to keep the place value number the same, and everything to the right becomes 0. Okay, so 4 and less, keep the place value number the same, and everything right becomes a 0. Okay, let's do an example of that one. We're going to skip to number 2. We have 94. We want to round to the nearest 10, so that's this value is where you're rounding to. Okay, but if we're following the rules, we go to the one to the right and we check it. And this number is 4 and less, so we're going to go down. So we're going to keep the 9, that's what the place value number is, and everything to the right becomes a 0. So I'm going to write a little note, that's like example 2, next to it so you understand what that means. Let's look at the third step. The third step is for 5 and more. If it's 5 and more, round up 1 on your place value, and everything to the right becomes 0. So 5 and more, you're going to round up 1 place value. I'm going to write on your place value. And everything to the right becomes 0. Okay, so this wants us to round to the nearest 100. So we look at our number, 5,382. This number here, I'm going to use a different color so you can see it. The nearest 100 is the place value. Okay, so that's what we're going to use. The 3 is our place value. We're going to do step 1, which tells us to look to the number on the right. If the number on the right is more than 5, then we're going to take this and we're going to add 1. So we have keep the 5, 3 plus 1 is 4, and everything to the right becomes 0. So my answer is 5,400. So there's our example for that one. Let's continue on with some of our examples. We want to round to the nearest 100 in the number 973. This is our place value. The number to the right is 7. This is more than 5, So we're going to add 1 to the 9. That gives me 10. Everything to the right becomes 0. So I get 1,000. Let's look at 47,256,344, rounding to the nearest million. The million place value in 47,256,344 is right here. And the 2 tells it to stay the same because it is less than 4. Remember, it's 4 or less. So this one is just going to stay the same. So we keep 4 in the 7. Everything else becomes a 0. So 0, 0, 0, 0, 0, 0. And we get 47 million. Take a minute and try practicing this table on your own. Pause the video and then we'll resume the video and we'll check some of our answers. How I want you to use this is I want you to think about it like 10, hundreds, and thousands. So if I'm going to round to the tens place, what would be the answer? So I'd keep the 6, the 9, the 4 tells the 1 to stay the same, so 1, 0. The hundreds place would be the 9. So we keep the 6, we look at the 1 because of the 9. The 1 tells the 9 to stay the same. So we get 6,900. In the thousands place, we look to the 9 to decide what to do. It tells us to pause. It tells us to pause. It tells us to go up. And we get 7,000 because the 9 is more than 5. Pause the video and try the rest. You should have seen on the next one, when you round to the 10, you get 8,490. In the next one, you get, when you round to the 100, 8,500 because the 8 tells the 4 to go up. And for the 1,000, the 4 tells the 8 to stay the same. In 5,555, if you round to the nearest 10, you're going to get 5,560. If you round to the nearest 100, you're going to get 5,600. And if you round to the nearest 1,000, you're going to get 6,000. On the last one, 1,234, you're going to round to the nearest 10, and you're going to have 1,230 because the 4 tells the 3 to stay the same. You'll get, for the 100, 1,200 because the 3 tells the 2 to stay the same. And in the last one, for 1,000, the 2 tells the 1 to stay the same to get 1,000. Sometimes you'll be asked to look at various charts. The pie chart shows how a family earning $36,913 a year spends their money. To the nearest $100, what is the total amount spent on food and entertainment? So let's examine food. We find that food is $5,296, and entertainment, right here, is $2,142. They want a total. That means that they want us to add those two numbers together. They also say to the nearest $100, and that means round. So we're going to take our two numbers, we're going to add them together, 5,296 and 2,142, and add them together. When we add them together, we get 6, 7, 8. 9 and 4 makes 13. Carry the 1. 2, 3, 4. 5, 6, 7. 7,438. It wants us to round to the nearest 100. So here, my 4 is in my hundreds space, and I'm going to take the 3 on the right, and it tells it to stay the same. So I get $7,400. To the nearest $1,000, how much of the income is spent on items other than taxes and savings? Okay, and we're rounding to the nearest 1,000. So everything but taxes and savings. So taxes and savings. We're going to take those two out. So we're going to start with the others. We have 10,200. We have 5,296. We have we're skipping savings because that's one we wanted to skip. So we have car expenses, 4,847. We have entertainment, 2,142. And we have our miscellaneous, which is 6,142. We're almost out of space here. So when we add them together, we're going to have a lot of adding and carrying over. So we have 6 plus 7 plus 2 plus 2 to get 17. We have 1 plus 9 plus 4 plus 4 plus 4, and that's going to give me 22. We have 2 plus 2 plus 2 plus 8 plus 1 plus 1, and that's going to give me 16. We have 1 plus 5 plus 4 plus 2 plus 6, which is going to give me 18. And 1 plus 1, which is 2. So I have a grand total right now of $28,627. I want to round to the nearest 1,000, so the number on the right, 6, tells me to go up. So my answer is $29,000. Now, another way we could estimate sums and differences is by rounding first. So estimate the answer by rounding each of the number to the nearest 1,000 first. I don't want to cross it off. We really want to focus in on that nearest 1,000. So the nearest 1,000, the 8 tells the 4 to go up, so I get 5,000. The 6 tells the 1, go up, so I get 2,000. 7 tells the 0, because that's where that is, to go up to 1,000. And the 1 tells the 6 to stay the same at 6,000. And when we add them up, we get 5 plus 2 plus 1 plus 6 to get a grand total of 14,000. We could do the same thing when subtracting. So in this case, we're going to subtract by rounding to the nearest 100. So we have 5,432, take away 1,856. I'm going to round to the nearest 100, so this value. The 3 tells the 4 to stay the same. The 8 from the 5, it tells me to go up to 9. So we have 1,900. We're going to subtract. 0 take away 0 is 0, 0 take away 0 is 0, and then we have to borrow. The 9 is smaller than the 4, so we take from the 5, make that a 4, and we add 1 in front of the 4 to make it 14. So 14 take away 9 is going to give me 5, and 4 take away 1 is 3, for a grand total of 3,500. Estimate the following answer for this as well by rounding to the nearest 1,000. So you could round to your 1,000 here. You could say, okay, I'm looking at the 4, that's in the thousands place, and this 4 tells me to keep it the same. So I'm going to have 204,000. Take away The 8 tells the 7 to go up. So I have 108,000. And now I'm going to subtract. 204,000. Take away 108,000. I'm going to get zeros for those first three. And then I have to borrow. Now this borrowing is a little bit more tricky because when I go to take from, in this case, when I go to take from the 0, there's nothing there. So I have to go to the 2 first. I'm going to take 1 away from the 2, and I'm left with 1. The 0, there's nothing there. So 0 plus 10 is 10. But I needed to go all the way over to the 4, so I'm going to cross the 10 off and make that 9 and put the 1 with the 4 to get 14. 14 take away 8 is 6. 9 take away 0 is 9. And 1 take away 1 is 0. Let's continue with some bar charts. When we're looking at this, we're going to talk about a couple of different aspects of it. This is called a bar chart. There are two axes, the x-axis, which is the horizontal line, and that's going to be the part that we're going to talk about for drinks. Okay, so we're going to label that down here, x-axis. The y-axis is the vertical line, and that talks about caffeine. Below are the two representations of the amount of caffeine in 5 different drinks. We are going to ask you to refer to the bar charts and answer some questions. So, in this case, how many milligrams of caffeine are consumed in 1 serving of instant coffee? So you're going to look for where instant coffee is on the x-axis and find the answer, which is on the y-axis. So we find instant coffee, we go all the way up, and we find the answer is 70 milligrams. When we look at the next one in question 10, we refer to the chart and we see how much caffeine is consumed in 1 serving of decaf coffee. So we again go to decaf coffee. We see that it tells us the number in this case, which we wouldn't be able to match it up exactly. So we know the answer is 4, and we can abbreviate milligrams. And that is 1.4, which is rounding numbers, estimating answers, and displaying information.